All right. How's it going, everybody? Let me know. Do we sound well? Do we look better? I got a new camera, so I'm hoping I look better. Might start seeing all the wrinkles as I get older. How are we doing, everybody? Let me know down in the chat. This is the first time I've tested with the new setup, so we're gonna work together on this. But today's the day. We have reached the end of the line when it comes to, I would say, what would you say, 15-month conversation of a serious conversation of changing up the NASCAR championship format. And we are less than 20 minutes away. I think we're about 18 minutes away, actually, from the announcement starting up. We won't be putting, or I should say, I will not be putting the live stream that NASCAR is putting up on here. One, I don't want to deal with copyright. Two, that's not fair to them to do all that work. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. So I actually have another headphone in. These headphones are for my end of the stream. This headphone is for another stream I have up with NASCAR. So if you want to listen as we're reacting together, we can do that. I'm going to be taking notes, so I might be a little quiet during it, just so that I'm not, making it to where you guys, if you're watching both streams or listening, can't hear what's actually being said. But feel free to sound off. I just ask, and I put it as a pinned comment, whatever it is. If it's 36, if it's a 10 race chase, if it's a 3-3-4, a 5-5, if it's a 18-18, I don't know what they would do. If they keep it the same, even be respectful. Be respectful of each other. We can disagree. We can talk about it. That's, I think, what's been the most beneficial part of this whole conversation so far. But be respectful to each other. There's plenty of mods in there, and they have full power to mute you guys for a set amount of time if you're going to be bad to others. If somebody, because we don't know much right now. And I have a feeling there was a pretty stiff embargo on a lot of this stuff. But it sounds like from a lot of the talk, it's a version of the 10 race chase. Whether or not there's 10 or 12 or 16 or 20 cars, we don't know about the details, but that's what's at least the leading talking point right now. It would be 10 race chase. What we know is that it will be more consistency based. You're going to have to be good over the whole season, as a lot of people have said. That leads a lot to think of either full season or 10 race chase. It's not expected to be full season. At least if it is, for some reason, it would not be the full season that a lot of us would think it being. But I don't think it's going to be. Y'all know, you see the hat, you see the old school shirt, you know where I'm lying on that one. Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be attending the announcement today. They've already posted about it. They've already talked about it. Now, a lot of people are thinking 36 on that too, but you got to remember both of them have openly endorsed the 10 race chase as well. Mark Martin saying if there's a playoff, that's the one he would think would be legitimate. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has said more of the same. And that's kind of been what we're looking at with this. It's been a long, grueling battle, conversation, debate, whatever you want it to be called. It has been a long time that we've been going through this. There's been a lot of shit flinging and name calling at times. There's been a lot of heatedness to it. But in 15 minutes, we should know. I want to thank so many of you for coming on in the middle of the afternoon. I rarely stream during this time. I'm going to take this time because I know you guys are the hardcore guys that come on in and gals that come on in to let you know this is coming up. NWP Season 9 on this channel, January 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. A lot of new stuff. We actually might be... I can't say this yet. I will say, unless there's some major news story, for those of you who love these streams and love the off-season stuff, unless there's a major news story to talk about or something really big, this will be the last stream before then. So I wanted to get all that stuff out of the way now. That way we can focus on what's the task at hand going into talking about it. Again, I'm going to take notes. I'm going to give my pros on it, cons, whatever it might be. Honestly, I think anything of more of a sample size than an elimination style format, a 10 race chase, even an 8 race chase. I honestly think just more sample size is really what fans will want to be looking for with this. So we'll go from there. Now I want you guys in the chat. Let me know, what do you guys think it's going to be? I get being pessimistic. NASCAR has not given us reasons to be positive a lot in the past with their decision making. But I want you to be honest. What do you think it's going to be? And we can talk about other sides of it and things like that as well. 10 race chase is what Justin is saying. 10 race chase, 10 race chase. We kind of all think it's going to be about a 10 race chase, or, don't have a clue. 334. That's another one people are talking about. Owners 36. I would be okay with that. Honestly, that's the one for the money. I would actually, if you're going to do a driver one for 10 race chase, if you do an owners championship over the whole season, that's cool. That's cool by me. Honestly, I would be really cool with that. A lot of you guys are saying 10 race chase or 443. I'm trying to keep it up. 344 or 334. Every race is an elimination. Hey, I want to let it know that while I have been on the pro 36 side of this, and I will continue to be that way. I honestly, again, I think if they choose a playoff format and a chase as a playoff format, I do think that's still the wrong call, even if it's better. With that being said, I think the 10 race chase is the best option of a playoff format, and I want the sport to succeed. And if I end up being wrong and the sport succeeds better, I'm okay with that. And I will say with the 10 race chase too, the worst full season, if you want to divvy it up that way, that a champion of the 10 race chase ever got was 4th with Kurt Busch. So, and that's without playoff points even, and all of that other stuff. Again, we might have this conversation in 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it might be. We might have it at the end of the new TV deal or the current TV deal or whatever it might be. But for now, this is the one we're looking at. We got to accept what it is and go from there. We can be critical. If you guys want to be critical, and I know a lot of you will, go ahead. But you got to accept that this will be the new paradigm from here on out. And yeah, I know I said those numbers. Man, I missed when 69 was the funny number. A few super chats we'll look at here. Joshua saying, we, the undersigned, believe that NASCAR should return to either the full season points or original 10-man chase, remove stage cautions, remove win and you're in, and give the winner 50 to 70 points minimum, sign the fans. To a degree, I'm kind of with that. By the way, I don't know why StreamYard has changed it. I wanted to put you guys on the screen here, and it's not letting me. So, sorry. But honestly, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm okay with stages without stage cautions. I'm okay with a 10 race chase, honestly. I'd be ecstatic with full season. With a 10 race chase, I'll be, I don't know, pleased, or at least I'll be all right with that. Not my preferred one. If it's 334 or 55, it's kind of disappointing. If we don't change a damn thing, I will rage out. But I honestly don't think they would hype all this up to be like, got you, bitch. I don't think they would do that. So there is that. Let's see. Happy Judgment Day, 10 race chase or full season, please. That seems to be the through line a lot of you guys are saying in the chat, and I'm keeping an eye on what you're saying. We're not all going to be happy. I'm probably not going to be happy with all of it. People who like it probably won't be happy with all of it. I just hope that if there is some sort of playoff, it is difficult to make it in and you can't luck your way in. Like you can literally luck your way into a win. And we've seen that happen with rain delayed wins and things like that. But you can't luck your way into being good for 26 races, 36 races, 29 races, whatever they might end up choosing. Like you can't luck your way through that much sample size to be good. You can be maybe overachieving, but you're not going to see somebody who's like 36th in points like every year. Like you're going to see Cody Ware luck his way into being top 10, top 12 in points, right? So there is, that is one thing. If we're going to have a playoff, I hope that's part of what we have. I will be respectful, but I'm ready for disappointment. I think that's another thing a lot of fans are going with too. To get shift this thing around, Dame. Prediction, it'll either be the chase or a 32-4. The 32-4, I feel like at that point you might as well just go full season. Like you've gone the 32 weeks, you might as well go full season. I'd actually be okay, and granted, not with this year's schedule, we'd have to move it around a little bit with Daytona, but I'd be okay with like a 12 race chase. Like as much sample size as we can get, I'm all for. Um, Let's see. I'm trying to keep up. Each race needs to matter for the championship. I agree. I don't want guys taking test weeks and off weeks and not, caring how they run for swaths of the season. This is our New Year's. I'm really tense right now. Same. I'm loose. I'm loose. I have fully at this point come to accept whatever it's going to be. It could be any of them. I'm just glad it hasn't gotten fully leaked yet. Flame Hayes says 10 race chase could perform better with the next gen parity. Yeah. NASCAR, please don't call it the playoffs. They've been calling it the championship format. Maybe they'll call it the chase for the championship again. If you're going to have a playoff, let's have a name that at least is unique to NASCAR. Let's do the chase, man. That's a great name. How's it going, Murph? It's good to see you, man. Let's see. How would you feel about winning in scenario at Daytona's cutoff race and then 10 race? I don't want winning in. I get maybe they'll do wild cards like 2011 to 2013. I don't want winning in. I think it needs to be good. I think the winning needs to have more points to it, which again will push winning up to mean more. But at the same time, I don't think that winning needs to trump all. It doesn't need to trump the whole season. I think with how he did last year at the end of the year, I think with 4 or 5 wins during the regular season, the 26 races, that Shane Van Gisbergen could be like a top 15 driver. I think he could. Easily. I mean, I would say that if you award way more points than even maybe I'm comfortable with, SVG could be borderline top 12 with the improvements that he's shown on the oval side of it too. I want those wins to matter. They should matter a ton, but it shouldn't wipe away an entire season's worth if you're maybe 1 or 2 good race, 1 or 2 wins, but you've run 20th the rest of the year. Let's see. I think playoffs are good except one race finale. That I know for a fact won't be there. The one race finale won't be. Whatever else it'll be, we'll go from there. But I'm also going to be drinking a lot of water. Trying to be better. Trying to better myself, man. By the way, how do you like the lighting? I got new lights, new camera, upgraded stuff here, and a new computer. At the end of last year. So I've and I'm literally building the new chair. So everything here on the new desk as well, everything is new. How's it going, Eric? I knew you'd break out the Winston Cup hat for today's stream. I had to, man. I had to. I fully accepted though, whether or not it whatever it'll be. We gotta find out. We gotta find out. But I'm glad guys think it looks good. Been a lot of work. But we are about 5 minutes out from the announcement. Again, we won't be putting it live on this stream. I don't like the idea of taking a live stream from somebody else and posting on your own. Just because I know people have done that to me and it pisses me off, and I don't want to deal with the copyright headache and any of that stuff. So if you want to put on NASCARs and then come back here, go for it. If you want to put them on at the same time, go for it. We're just going to kind of play fast and loose with this whole deal. Last couple super chats before we head on in. I won't be reading them during the announcement, just because we'll be wanting to pay attention, but I'll try and get as many as I can here. Thank you, Santa Claus, Father Christmas, for being a member again. Do you think they'll adjust how points are awarded? I do think at least at the top. I think through the field, for the most part, it's actually pretty good. I think for the most part, it is pretty good. I just think nobody should score more points than the winner in a race. Maybe that means we get bonus points for laps led or something like that. Whatever it might be. I hope they keep I hope they keep the what do you call it? The fastest lap. Because if you don't do that, then come on, that was something that was really fun for a lot of us. Last couple here. Snapback to Reality says, will the Glen be a monsoon this early in the season? It might be. It might be. I hope not. And that, well, I hope it rains a little bit and makes it fun for the road course side of it. 10 race chase, people regretting saying they want it back after learning Logano would be a 4-time champ and third to every win, 3 in a row. Yeah, I did a video on that. Let's see. Insured Frame says a big thing that would make the 10 race chase better this time around would be winning gives you 5 points for the entire chase. It used to be 3 in 2011 and the equivalent of 2 in 2007, 2010. Now it's 5. Add in the stage breaks and add on stage breaks, essentially making it so that you aren't racking up wins in the regular season. You have no choice, no chance of winning it. I don't want wins to supersede performance, but I do think they should matter a lot. I'm kind of a point nerd, assuming playoffs are still the go. I think they should keep the playoff point system they have now. However, I think every top 10 earned should be a playoff point. I don't know about top 10 earned. But we'll see. 3-3-4 or 5-5 keeps the drive alive. Then Evergreen here says this $5 says whatever NASCAR does, Tommy Baldwin will find a way to complain about it for 20 minutes without offering a viable alternative. So that's the thing. I might complain about it, but I'll at least give you an alternative under whatever paradigm you want. And then nearly 1,000. We got over 1,000 watching. I appreciate it. We're gonna look at the rest of the super chats after the announcement, after we talk more about it. Unless you sneak a few in, like, please just no winning in. Consistency sounds like a big part of it. But we are now, what are we? About 2.5 minutes away. Larson becomes the next Jimmy Johnson with the chase. Again, I will give you my gripes with the chase as well, if that's what it's announced. I don't want to go too far down that road. I know we assume it's probably going to be that, but I don't want to go too far on that. But there's pros and cons to every system. I have gripes with 36 races, believe it or not. I know I'm all for it, but there are problems with them depending on how you do it. So there'll be pros and cons to whatever they choose. I just hope whatever they choose, it can be stuck with long enough that we can see if it's the right decision. It's not going to change TV ratings. It's not going to change the way the rest of the world views NASCAR and views us and all of that. This is simply a thing that is for the hardcore viewer to go towards, watch things like that. Let's see. Yeah, we got a minute and a half left. Minute and a half. Yeah, I mean, that's looking like it's going to be a 10 race chase. But again, I don't want to jump the gun until we know 100% for sure. Today, January 12th, 2026 will be a day that lives in infamy. Infamy. Yeah, it could. It very well could. This is going to probably be the biggest announcement of a rules change this decade. And believe it or not, as long as I've been on YouTube, this is the first time we've had a points system change that we've been able to cover. They're waiting on NASCAR. So I'm just updating on my end. I'm just waiting for it. We got plenty of people waiting, that's for sure. And now they put slow mode on. They put slow mode on their chat. I got to give them credit. If they don't choose full season, they leave the chat open. Good on them, man. Face what the people are saying. And if it's something they like too, you get plenty of people liking it. We'll find out. Yeah, man, it's like Christmas and the 4th of July as well. I will not be playing the audio, by the way, for those asking. I won't be playing the audio. I won't be putting the stream on. That's their stream. But I will be listening to it, and we can almost do like a live reaction together if you want. They're just they're taking their time. They're getting there. They're letting everyone file in. That's for sure. That's for sure. Thank you for the 1,200, by the way, that have jumped on in here since we started up. I appreciate it a ton. We'll find out together. We got plenty waiting on here. We got plenty waiting on their stream. I'm sure others are streaming right now. Let's get to it, man. I want to know what it is. Like, what are we doing? Are we live? Are we live yet? It's not live on my end. They're late. They're late. No. They're fashionably late. How about that? Yeah. So I'll just I'll keep an eye on what you guys are saying in here. I'm trying to go back and forth, but I'm gonna be taking notes and just watching you guys as you go. Um, Again, I got the headphone in, so I'm listening. It just, I don't know. Just posted that the announcement is rain delayed. Yeah, there's 15,000 people waiting and they're freaking late. Come on, man. 17,000. Damn. If that doesn't show just how many people are on it right now, you know, who are ready to go. I mean, this is maybe I'll is it you guys let me know when it's on. Because it's not on YouTube. It said weather or something. All right, it's on. All right. Well, they're going through a bunch of chases, so I'm assuming that's what we're going to. God, I miss Alan Bestwick. Yeah, this is looking like it's the chase by the way that they're hyping it up. I just hope they do it right, you know? Yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm pretty sure this looking very chase-esque. All right. Oh yeah. If you're watching right now, by the way, it's already been leaked out there, announced out there by Bianchi, I believe. 16 drivers, 10 race chase. So just taking notes. Let's see. So it's no winning in, by the way. It's based on points. So 1 reset, 10 race chase, uh, no winning in, 16 drivers. Um, let's see. Uh, probably get more. Let's see. Points for wins go up to 55, by the way, from 40. Um, so 55 points for a win, up from 40. Yep, they're calling it the chase too. So they're officially calling it the chase. Wow. Okay. So they're separating them by 100 points to start with down to 16th. This is I wanna know how they score the points in the race. Let's see. So if they score like last year, the only question I have is what's the point with, if they're gonna already be so far back in points, what's the point of having so many in the chase? Like, what's the point of having 16 other than just the money? Like, competition-wise? See. So 12 races by the way, for O'Reilly, it's 12 and then 10 in truck, so it stays the same. I have questions. I got Dale talking. I have questions about this, but I'm gonna listen to what they have to say first. I love Mark Martin. Hmm. I really the big question I have is just, again, competition-wise, I don't know. I don't know. Hold on. We'll talk about it a little more, but I'm seeing what you guys are saying in the check. Out of 10, let me know what you think about it so far. Like, I wanna know what you guys think out of 10. Generally positive. All right, I think we're just gonna probably get more of them. No, I mean, I'll have it on the background of my end, but I think we're probably just gonna get more of them just saying the same thing in different ways. So let's kind of go over it. 16 drivers, 10 race chase, no winning in. You only qualify on points. I like that. I like no winning in. I think winning in watered down so much of the season. Um, in my opinion, I think it was one of the biggest detriments that that system had. More than the one race finale, in a lot of ways, because people could just basically skate the majority of the regular season. Um, and upping the points for winning, I like. I think I'm sorry, but to me, since 2003, that was the move the whole time they should have made. Just up the points, simplify it, up the points. Like that's the two things they probably should have done with the entire system instead of this whole 22-year journey we're on. Um, so I do like that a lot. Uh, I think 55 points is actually good. I mean, I know when I was looking at it, I thought maybe 60 would be the right way to land on it. But 55 points, I think, is a good area to land on for points awarded for a win. I'm assuming they're, unless maybe Bianchi's article says something different, but I'm assuming they're just going to have them for the most part be the same, um, based off of that. I haven't seen anything say otherwise at this point. So I'm assuming unless they say otherwise, it's going to be um, more of what we've had so far, which I do think again that will probably incentivize still going for wins. 55 points at a minimum compared to 35, like that is a huge percentage jump. I believe in the modern era, that is the biggest percentage jump just for winning that you've had yet. That is 55 points compared to 35, if that is what it is, and they haven't said otherwise. That is a 57% jump from second to first. That and maybe again, maybe they'll change it, but even so, like if it were 45, that would still be the biggest jump we've had from winning to second, which I think is a good move. I think that is a really good move. So pluses for me on no winning in, pluses for me on no rounds, just one chase. Plus for me, especially, and that's a big one on points for a win. Now the 16 drivers still to me is a negative. I think that's way too many. We're still going to be focused because that while we should be focusing on the top 10, we're going to be focusing on that cut line. We're going to be focusing on guys that, for the most part, and I'm readjusting right now, for the most part, are mediocre. Maybe an SVG again will be really good at one type of track and win a bunch of races. But that's about it. I mean, they're showing the breakdown of it. I'll kind of take let's see. Yeah, I mean, I will say if you have those winter stickers, like, do I have it on this one? No, I have it on a different one. You have those winter stickers with the die cast. Those might go up in a little bit of value for the era. That's for sure. But again, 16 to me is still way too many. If again, unless they say something different, it sounds like it's going to be awarded the same way that it was before per race. So 35, 34 on down like that. Then I'm assuming stages again. I feel like they would have said more if they were changing a bunch more. So we're going to go off of that. And if they say something different, we'll go from there. So 55 points for a win, possibly 20 for stage wins, 1 for the fastest lap. 76 would be the max points you could get, which would mean that starting the chase, 12th on back, basically 11th on back, would be a full race or more out of the points lead already. Um, and maybe this is my Pro 36 brain on this, but it kind of makes me think a little bit like, one, what's the point of a lot of them being in for the busy work of them just being there and the money? Like that has to be it, is the money. But the other side of it is, at when you look at the whole season, outside of, I would say, probably the top 7 or 8, like, why not just do a full season point at that point? Um, I do like that there's advantages to being good. I think that is a big positive. But this basically, unless they're saying different, that basically also means no playoff points. Which I will say, another plus to this is it is a simple format to understand. Um, like it's simple to understand with that if there's no playoff points. I mean, it's 2,100 to the first place seed going in, 2,075 to second, 2,065 to third, so 35 points back, and then 5 on back from there. Um, and I like this a lot more than what we had. I think what we had was, I would honestly argue what we had before, just in total, was probably the worst format of the modern era of NASCAR. Um, Far and away. I think the 10 race chase we had before. That's the thing though. I mean, I want to see how it plays out personally before I compare it to the other 10 race chases from like 2004 to 2013. But you know, I'm just interested if that points leader pulls away and then wins, locks it up. Like this system, this much of an advantage this early. If that guy up top has a good 8 or 9 races, like there is I would say, with 25 points being that difference, that is a third of a race's worth of points if you have a max points day. There is a very real reality that if somebody hits it at the end of the year, they're locking up the championship a race early. And I want to see the reality of that and how that really goes towards a lot of the pro postseason people on that. Because I think it's actually much more of a reality than people think. Because the points were always so close from 2004 to 2013, intentionally. Um, there's a very big reality that the points leader could get a boost in their lead going into the final 10 races of the season. Um, so on that side of it too, if you're wanting to, you can tell NASCAR went probably as far as the powers that be, that are overlords of them. Um, you can tell they went as far as they were allowed to go on that. Like, I think this is as far as we were going to get under this TV deal. Um, you know, maybe if it doesn't work out in, again, 6 years when the new TV deal is signed and everything, maybe we'll have another one. I mean, based on NASCAR's track record, we have seen substantial changes every 3 to 7 years, depending on what one you look at. We had '04 to '06, then we had '07 to 2010, so 3, then 4 years, and 3 years with the 2011 to 2013, then 14 to 16, we had 3 years, and then 17 to 25, we had 8 years. Um, I'm interested. I have to say I'm intrigued. Um, I don't think this is gonna be a make or break kind of thing. I do wish they would have changed the stage stuff a bit. I think stages, like, I'd be fine with top 5, or top 5 get points or no cautions. I'd be fine with the no cautions, honestly. Um, I'm happy with no eliminations though. I think that is a huge plus. I still think we're gonna see some fuckery to get in. I think we're gonna see some people pulling some different strings, at Daytona, perhaps, maybe. Maybe cars pulling off, or cars, laying over in the draft, or things like that, so people can get their points to get in. Um, but I don't know. Like, I'm not I mean, I'm disappointed it's not 36, but I'm almost I'm almost dumbfounded and intrigued at the same time. I'm like on both ends of that side of it. Um, and let me pop on at least what NASCAR's been saying. I always put a screenshot on for you, um, to kind of be more, what's the word? Uh, Open with you guys about which is what and everything like that. So I'll put that on right now. I'm just making sure I got it right. Uh, I think this is something that will push drivers to be more um consistent. I think that the points incentive doesn't offer maybe the same um like incentive that winning in did necessarily. I think that's something worth talking about with it. But God, I have that sinking feeling that we're going to be talking about somebody in the next 5 years hitting it, because this car, we're not going to have this parity, I don't think, forever. Um I think we're going to have somebody that hits it, and we're going to have that scenario, and I'm going to be real interested to see what people think. So here's what we're looking at, by the way, for those who might not have been watching the NASCAR stream. This is how the points breakdown going into the last 10 races is going to be. Um, Again, I like that you do. It is going to be a big deal to perform. It is going to be a really big deal to perform. Um, it sounds like they're doing. I'm saying, are they doing stage yellows? Probably. I'm assuming. But this thing, you can't ride around, test all year, and be, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th in points and expect to be up there and win. Um, because if you don't score any stage points and then win, you would, the most points you'd be able to make up in the race without any stage points, any bonus points they talk about, the most you'd be able to make up is 54, which would mean that if you're 7th on back and you just luck into a win, you still will not be the points leader afterwards. So I do think that is a positive. I mean, to me, this just feels like full season points with extra steps in a lot of ways. Under the old chase format, the worst in a full season points that uh the champion ever would have finished was 4th with Kurt Busch, and there was nowhere near the advantage given. I think we're going to be watching the top 2 or 3 in points. I hope to God NBC doesn't focus on the cut line and TNT doesn't focus on the cut line the entire damn year, because the cut line is going to be completely irrelevant. I'm sorry. It's going to be relevant for your money, sure, if you're a team, but the cut line of 16th and 17th is going to be completely irrelevant for the championship. It is literally only there for people to get bonuses. I mean, there's no way you're making up 100 points in the last 10 races. It is just more or less a glorified, hey, you're here, here's your participation, you made it in, you get some extra money kind of thing. That's really what it is. I would argue right now, going into this, unless somebody goes on a god tier run, in my opinion, I don't think with this system, I don't think anyone who qualifies for the chase this year 5th on down is going to make it, or 6th on down. I think top 5 are the only ones that would win the championship this year, unless somebody hits it insanely good and everybody else has a ton of bad luck. And because of that, I will say I do like that side of it a lot. I got to say, of all of the playoff formats, this is my favorite because it gives the most incentive and chance for the best driver all year to win the championship. And to me, that is the most important thing. We need legitimacy back. Would I be A-okay with there being no chase? Yeah, absolutely would love that. And I know there's going to be people who are going to come at me. They've come at me on X and on my Instagram comments and my YouTube comments saying I'm weak and I'm going with the wind and whatever. This is probably the best way you could do it. I mean, hell, Tony Stewart winning 5 races, that I would have to go back, and I am gonna go back and check, and we're gonna check from the old Chase because they probably would race similar. Um, I don't think Tony would win under that. He qualified what, 9th, 10th? He would be 65 to 70 points back. He would have made up a lot of those points, but he also had some bad races too. So I don't know. Again, I'm pretty good with math, but I'm not that good to figure out the 10 race chase and all of that from other stuff like that. So we might do like hypothetical videos and talk about it. I'll probably break down a little bit more on pros and cons in a video and get a little more concise with my thoughts on it. But I got to say, if we're going to have a postseason format, I really like it as a postseason format. And again, I know a lot of you guys Pro 36ers are going to be on me about that. But they're right. This is the best possible, I think, compromise they could make outside of just going to full season points. And I will forgive me for putting on a tinfoil hat here, but I kind of have a theory about this. So yeah, O'Reilly and Trucks will get the same format from the sound of it. I mean, I would argue, I think Corey Heim probably would have locked this thing up like 2 races early last year. I mean, but tinfoil hat time here. Could this be the way that they ease it back to 36 at some point? Like, could that be? Because I would say, to me, if you're wanting to go back to that, and they've said it's too much of an ask. Like when you hear like Dale Jr. talk about, it's too much of an ask right now is what you hear. Like too much right now. And Mark Martin said something similar. And they weren't talking as much about playoffs as they were about full season points in that talk with it. That if this doesn't work the way they could, it would be much easier to go to a traditional racing format. That, this is, I will say, and again, I saw people saying you're reading too much into it. And I get if you don't like it yet, totally get that. But like this is probably the closest any postseason has gotten to just being a full season format. Again, I think it's going to be the top 5 guys in points going in more than likely, unless you just hit it like immediately and you'll rip off 5 wins. Others still probably have to have problems as well. Cause again, you could make up, say 25 points from the guy that finishes second. So, if you're 16th, maybe you win 5 or 6 races and you're in the running. But at the same time, like that's a lot to ask for somebody that's mediocre. I don't see a 2024 Joey Logano getting enough points outside of the wins to do that. I don't see somebody doing a 2007 Jimmy Johnson in this day and age winning 4 in a row. So there is that side of it too. And it sounds like they're just going and having their talk about it and all that. So I do want to know, and I want to see what you guys say. What do you guys like and dislike so far about this thing? Because I'm looking at the poll that I put up for you guys, and 85% of you like this format, which I got to say, I am pleasantly surprised we got as much as we did for the majority of fans asking for more, like that like for asking towards this. That's the big thing. 16 is too many. That could be, that's one of those things that I think down the line, especially if teams agree with it, money side of it and all that, that's something I could totally see being amended at this point. Like I could see that being amended to maybe be 12. So there is that. Let's see, winning in it. Yeah, and there's 2 here. Winning in is gone, and the 1 race finale is gone. I think those are big positives. Like I said, I think there are more positives at the direction NASCAR is going. Um, the other part of it I have to think right now, because I remember how the chase was, and I remember how fans talked about it. I was in those forums, and all over the place with that. Um, I remember how hated the chase was, and I would just love to time travel back to 2013 and tell somebody right after Spingate, uh, "Hey, you're gonna more than likely be happy or at least think it's better than what we have when we switch back to the chase, when we switch back to a 10 race chase." Um, One thing that I worry a little bit about, and I hope NASCAR can contain themselves from it, is don't add a million wild card races to this thing. Like, don't add, another road course, like a Watkins Glen. If you're gonna add the Glen back in, take the Roval and make it an oval. If you're gonna, move other stuff around, like don't put Atlanta in or Daytona at some point. Like, don't screw with it like that. Um, with the chase, and again, the first time Jimmy Johnson, that probably, the 48 team pissed in a lot of fans' Cheerios when it came to how that was going. That is a good question. Is Jeff Gordon going to be added to the chase? The world, the world may be surprised. So maybe somebody hits the right side of it when it comes to a strategy or something like that. Um, the other part that I hear people talk about is the schedule. But the funny thing is that we've had nearly the same amount of tracks in the time since like 2018 or so in the 10 race playoff era as the like 8 or 9 years of Jimmy Johnson's reign. They're actually, when you look at it, of like the tracks that have stuck around the most, there's been a little more change, but it's not been this like magnifying change that everyone is like. There's been a lot of consistency in the schedule when it comes to the 10 race chase. Or the playoffs. I'm glad we're calling it the chase. I was screwing up 10 years after, still calling it the chase. And then I finally just said, screw it. I'm just going to keep calling it the chase and we'll go from there. So I wouldn't put it past somebody to hit the right tracks. I do like that that going into this through the year, all of that, we are going to be talking about who can get good runs, who can maybe get out of the garage and gain 5 points at Talladega, who can go and maybe salvage a day that they ran 24th and finish 12th. Like, that's 12 points they wouldn't have had that could make a huge difference. I like that points racing is back. I maybe I was in the minority at the time. Maybe I was too young to be pissed off by it. I have never minded points racing. I think points racing is racing. You're trying to get the best possible finishes. Not everybody can win. Only a few every week show up with a winning car. And we're not going to have to have somebody in 15th thinking they can win going into turn 1 at Coda and just bulldozing 12 people. Like, if they do that, that's going to actually mean a little bit more. So I do like that side of it. I do think too, opening the year with 2 super speedways, now that points actually matter, is going to be a really, really big point of emphasis. Like, you need to get through these super speedways quick. It's going to matter. If a couple years ago, Tyler Reddick opened up the season with like 2 DNFs or 3 DNFs or something. He was like 33rd and 34th in points, somewhere in there, or something, like, and a few others were pretty low, and it didn't matter. Like, that moment, like around 23, I think it was, or 22, or whenever that was, that's like when it really hit me. Like, points really don't matter, like, in the grand scheme of the regular season, because we're just outside of a year that we have like 15 winners. We're going to be focusing on mediocrity. So again, like Mark Martin was saying, the sport, the people covering the sport, they need to change how they cover it. Like, during the race, during the week, all of that. It's going to matter if you're the points leader again. Like, I get it mattered with the regular season championship and all, but like, again, once you got to the round of 8, if you had a bad Talladega, it really didn't matter if you won that thing. You were going to be put in the doghouse with it. Why was the chase hated? Again, a lot of the reasons maybe were Jimmy Johnson. Again, a lot of it was change. A lot of it is a lot of people don't like the resets. And I'm with that. Like, again, to me, give me a letter grade right now. Will this win any fans back? Maybe a few, but the points format isn't gonna change that. But give me a letter grade on what you think of the format. Because for me, I'm gonna give it a B. I think there's still some pretty big issues. Um, Anything short of full season for me, I can't really give it an A. But I can give it a solid B. Like, I think this is actually a solid championship format, and yeah, I want to see it in practice. I want to see the best of the best race out there. I like a lot of the changes. I do think this is probably on paper. We'll see how it plays out. I think on paper, it's the best postseason format we've had. Now, here is my theory too on what's going to happen. I think for the next year or two, unless we have some kind of craziness and stupidity, I think for the next year or two, people are going to be pretty happy actually with it. Um, I think people are going to be happy, and I think that we're not going to have as much conversation about it. But I think somebody is going to figure it out, or somebody is going to place something of the system that we're not thinking of in the announcement right now. And I think that is going to be where we really get to the brass tacks of if this is a format that'll stick around long term. Yeah, let's see. Napa Racing, no more Mickey champs. I mean, you know, it depends on what way you want to look at it. If you're looking at, like, we're not going to have it where every year the guy leading the points who has been, would have won with a full season. We're not going to have that guy win every year. Like, we're not. So if you're looking at that end, like, yeah, there'll be Mickey champions on that end. If you're looking at like how Joey Logano performed during some of his championship years and how like Ryan Blaney performed during his, or like Jimmy Johnson in 2016 for most of the year, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard to do so, I would say. Um, but when it comes to making an effort to crown the best possible champion, this is I think the best on paper that we've gotten since either the 10 race chase in '04 or just the full season. Um, I don't like, again, I don't like the 16 necessarily being in. I don't like that stage yellows are sticking around, but that's another conversation we could have later. Um, but for a postseason format in NASCAR in the modern era, this, for someone who does not like, I didn't really, I was all right with the chase. This is the best we're going to probably get. And I think if this format sticks around past the next, like the end of this TV deal, it's probably going to be the long-term format. Um, you know, so let's see. Some races need stage yellows. No, we don't need arbitrary cautions being thrown out at different points. I think we need better cars. We need better racing. We don't need to bunch them up and try and make some kind of show out of it like that. We need to have better racing throughout the race. We need to look at the root issue. Let's see. Mark Martin said in the conference 10 to 36 is much easier than playoffs to 36. Just saying. Okay, I'm just saying if they do switch to full season like the next TV deal, especially because there's no guarantee that somebody is going to pay for all 36 races. We don't know that. I want somebody to clip this and show it in like 7 years when it happens. Like if it happens, I want somebody to clip it and just be like, okay, I just, again, sometimes that tinfoil hat can actually get, lightning can strike. I respectfully disagree though on stage yellows. Nowadays too, a big point of emphasis is on quicker pace, right? Quicker pace with sports, like stick and ball sports, with motorsports, you name it. Like we talk about quicker pace with Formula One. We see baseball has sped up the game a lot without having to change things. Football has, under everyone's noses, made everything move quick. Like, there's been a lot of different small changes they don't talk about with that. Um, NASCAR, I think, can follow that without getting rid of the racing part of it, right? Because, like, a lot of times we had the conversation about shorter distances, and y'all spoke loudly and clearly. Bad idea. He gave good reasoning for it. I think some races still can be shortened. Maybe if you did like a double header or something. But all in all, racing fans don't want less racing. But stage yellows add roughly 10 to 20 minutes to the runtime of a race. So you could probably fit more in that 2.5 hour window and still get your 400-mile race. You just don't have to, throw the damn caution as much. You keep the pace going, you keep the flow going, you keep that, that conversation going throughout. And yeah, we might get more caution or commercials during like green flag racing. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad deal to move back to stuff that worked a little bit more. I'm fine with the stage points, honestly. Like maybe a little less, but like I can live with the stage points. And that goes same thing like with this format or with the full season points. Like you had all this time and all these opportunity at points to make up points. Points matter again, and you can still have a good points day. I think that's important. I know people hate saying that, but that, again, to me, that is a huge part of racing. I'll even say a story. Big Dale Jr. fan, got my Dale Jr. shirt on. The 2006 Martinsville race to me is one of the most memorable races for me as a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan. He didn't win. He didn't lead a lap, if I'm not mistaken. He ran outside of the top 10 for most of the day. He got collected in, I believe, 3 or 4 different accidents or skirmishes during the race. Lost a right front, the right front of his car. The wheel is showing, and he managed to get up to a 4th place finish. He was running in the 30s for the opening quarter to third of the race. And he made up a ton of those points. And those points at the end of the 26 races, if you want to look at the chase side of it, those points he made up from not just puttering around and running 25th, instead going and getting a top 5 finish and keep chugging and keep at it the whole damn race. That was the difference between him making the chase and at the end of the year, being in contention at Homestead to make the championship or finishing 11th in the standings. That was the difference. I look back on that race when I think of that season, that was the difference for Dale Jr. that year. And that is something for the championship in general that needed to come back. Nowadays, it can make a difference, but if you're one of the good teams, you're going to be in with a win. If you're one of the good teams with this, you're going to be in, right? Like I'm fully expecting at least 3 of the Gibbs cars, 3 to 4 of the Hendrick cars, probably at least 2 of the Penske drivers to be in, and then sprinkle in the rest. Like they should be in. If you're not in at this point, you deserve to be fired from one of those teams. If you're not in and you were around that 11th to 14th, 15th place beforehand, and you were missing like a Chris Buescher, you deserve to have some questions about your job brought up. You should make it at this point. You should be good enough, right? That, in my opinion, we will be able to judge performance of a driver much better now. We will be able to judge the performance of drivers better with this. We will be able to judge who is actually elite better with this. And that is a huge plus. That's something that's been missing for the last 10 years. It's hard to judge who's actually good. If you look at champions and point standings the last 10 years especially, you can't tell who's actually really that good until you look at the raw numbers of top 5s, top 10s, top 20s, lead lap finishes, DNFs, all of that. I will say too with this thing, especially with the amount of points to win and everything else with that, of the way that you grade out the points distribution, a DNF is going to hurt bad in those last 10 races, especially if you're in that like probably 3rd, 4th to 8th, 9th range. Like a DNF will kill your season in that regard, points wise. Like you will, I really think you're going to have to be in that top 5, probably top 3 all year to actually go into the chase with that realistic chance with you're going to have if you're not in that top range, especially like if you're not in the top, I would say 7 or 8, like you're going to need a ton of luck I think to get that far. Um yeah, wins matter, stats matter. Again, I'm still going to be on the 36 train. And again, I probably once we see this in practice, we'll see some of the warts come out in the sunlight of this. But this is not a negative for anyone who's on that side of it or wanted to 10 race chase. And based on basically all the voting, it's like 80 to 90% of people on social media are on one of those two. This is not a negative for either one of you. For those who wanted the 10 race chase, you got what you wanted, right? You got what you wanted out of this. If you wanted more legitimacy to the championship, I get people that might not like chase or playoffs. You got more legitimacy added. That is a positive. It's to me, it is the first substantial move in the right direction to get more legitimacy to the championship of a change they've made yet. Because when you look at the Latford system and full season points in general, I think that's the most legitimate way to do it. The 10 race chase, you chip a little bit more, then you chip a little bit more as you go, and until we get to where we have been. This is the first substantial move in the right direction. And I don't think it's the last substantial move in the right direction NASCAR is going to make for legitimacy of the championship. That's important. If you're a full season person like me, it is going to, if this system doesn't work out, 36 to me is the only legitimate way left to go. NASCAR has course corrected in a lot of ways on this. And I think that's a great move. It's not perfect. I'm not crazy about it. And again, maybe I'm not a zealot with this stuff. I can live with this. I can live with it. Again, I say this and watch Joey Logano qualify 85 points out in 13th, win like 8 races and win the championship again. At least at that point, NASCAR and fans of him can at least have a legitimate argument to me of like, hey, he was like the best of the best at that point, right? I'll say this, I'll put out probably my predictions for the chase. I'll probably put out my predictions for the chase Wednesday or Thursday. This is probably gonna push a lot of the other stuff I'm gonna do back a bit. But I'm gonna really analyze stuff tonight on it. I'm gonna look more in detail on this, and put something out tomorrow, and then predictions. I could totally see Shane Van Gisbergen making the top 16 points. I mean, I'd have to double check. I don't think he finished top 20 in full season if you like put it out that way last year, but he's so much better on the ovals now. And he was like top 20 in points at one point with that. I could totally see him making it that far. Like, where was he at? Where was he at in the points at Daytona? He was outside the top 20, but he was like close at that point. You guys would probably, you guys probably know. I mean, the points with the wins are going to matter that much more. So okay. So the full season, yes, and that's right. Plus 15, that's going to help him a ton. Because if he wins just 4 of those races, that is 60 points. That's more points than a win. Like, that's basically like being gifted a win compared to last year extra if you win that many races. So finishing 20th, I mean, why can't he make that jump? Why can't he jump up 4 positions in the points as he has shown that Trackhouse has improved? He's improved at ovals. Like, I think Shane Van Gisbergen is a chase contender. And I think people are fooling themselves if they don't think he's not going to take some kind of step this year. Because there's 4 or 5 road courses in the regular season this year. Like, there's a good amount. There's Coda, there's San Diego, there's Sonoma, Watkins Glen. 5. That's your saying there's 5. So why can't he? Why can't he? I do think this kind of change will probably hurt Trackhouse in that regard. And there's plenty of people we can talk about. What I like is we're not gonna bother talking about these guys that are running 25th to 28th to 30th when it comes to the championship. If they have an awesome run and get a win, a what okay, I'll put this too. What I like about this too, and this does check this box for me, we can appreciate underdog wins again. We don't have to be like, man, Harrison Burton won and that's awesome and all, but he's wasting a spot in the playoffs. Like he's not like, I'm sorry. If he were in that position again, he's not making it. He's not. You know, like if Cody Ware got a win at Daytona, Cody Ware is not going to make the chase. There's no way. He is not jumping from like 32nd in points or 33rd in points to 16th. Now he might jump up a little bit, but he's not going to be in the chase. So I do like that we can appreciate those wins. Now there might be a few of them in there that are maybe in that like 18th to 22nd range in the points where we're like, okay, like why does that make that much of a difference? Again, in practice, things work out with NASCAR way different than on paper. But like if Cole Custer wins a super speedway, he's been really good at those as of late. He's not making it unless that team takes a monumental step this year. He ain't making it. I think that guys like, I think the best of the best benefit from this a lot. They'll at least be in that conversation. So I think there's a lot of positives to this. I think there are. Again, my tune might change at the end of the year. My tune might change, especially in 2 or 3 years from now. We'll see. You know, we got to see it play out first before we can really be gung ho or all against it, right? But I want to say I have had the privilege of knowing a lot of people that have been able to give me snippets and talks about it, and I can say 36 races, especially when you see how this whole thing played out. 36 races was a real consideration, and it was on the table. 10 race chase obviously was. We have it. But this evolved a lot from people that I've talked to that have known more about it. I mean, there was talk before the championship race with Hamlin and all that of like, let's barely change anything, if anything at all. Like those were all on the table. So we could have gotten a lot worse than this, in my opinion. I think we could have had a nuclear meltdown, and maybe we are. X is always like that. Reddit, they always bitch too, and they at least on Reddit, they can at least acknowledge that they complain about it. But I think we were close to getting one of the worst possible outcomes. We could have gotten a lot worse. We could have gotten, 3-3-4 or 5-5 or an 8-race chase. 10 races, at least you can have the opportunity to make up a lot of points with this too. Hypothetically, you can make up 10 points a race from 16th on the leader, depending on, craziness that happens at Darlington or Gateway or Bristol. So for those who missed it, 6-7 playoffs. Damn it. I hit the wrong comment. For those who missed it, the chase has returned. The chase is back. It'll be 16 drivers based on points. No winning in anymore. No playoff points either. They'll be based on where you are in the standings. And points for a win have been moved from 40 to 55. 12 will make it in O'Reilly. 10 will make it in trucks like today. 16 make it in Cup. And then for those of you who are coming in right now or might have missed it, this is how the points will be divvied up for each seed going in. They definitely simplified it, and I like that a lot. I think this is a much more simple way of doing this. I don't think it's as mind-numbingly dumb a lot of times that we've had with these. But the chase is back. They're calling it the chase, by the way, which, thank you. It should be called the chase. It should be called the chase. It sounds better for a racing series. Playoffs don't even make sense with racing. You don't play racing, you race. It's the race-offs. It's the chase for the Cup. It has a ring to it. But I think for a moment, I know a lot of people are talking about it in here. Let's for a moment, I do want to talk about this era from 2014 to 2025. The elimination playoff era. Um Now this will probably vary for different people, but I think for the average NASCAR fan, this era, this span of time from 2014 to 2025, I think will be remembered as a I think a very dark time for NASCAR and for NASCAR fans. I think these will be I do really think for the on track, the championship, the legitimacy of the sport, 2014 to 2025 will be remembered as a very negative time, even for NASCAR fans, right? And I think it'll be a lot for the champions as well. And the thing is, the ones I feel for fans, don't get me wrong, but I think the ones I feel the worst for how this era is going to be viewed are the drivers. I mean, we in a lot of ways have wasted about half of 2 generations of drivers, the old and the new, and especially the new ones we might have wasted. We have really hurt how their careers will be remembered, and it's not their fault. They played under the rules that were given, just like these new rules given. It's not maybe not as much even the owner's fault. It's not the fans' fault, especially. Um, I will feel for those drivers. I feel for Joey Logano, honestly, for his legacy. Now I get he doesn't care. And that's one thing I really like about Joey Logano. He just says that I don't give an F energy. Um, but I do feel for him. I think Joey Logano is a great, great NASCAR driver. I think he is. I think when you look back from 2013 to probably around the time he retires, he'll be a top 5 to 8 driver of this era. And nobody is going to look at him that way. They're going to look at him as the Mickey Mouse champion. They're going to look at him in that way. But at least to Joey, I give him credit. The guy's got thick skin. He doesn't care. But it kind of sucks, for guys like him. You'll get Jimmy's 7th championship, and there's a lot of talk with that. And Chase Elliott, for instance, he was literally called by fans in 2020 the Mickey Mouse champion because look how good Kevin Harvick was before that, and how good his season was. He should have been champion. And then Chase was clearly the best in 2022, and he lost. So I'm hoping this can rectify a lot of the fatigue that people have, that people can actually care about the championship again. So I hope that it helps solidify. Yeah, and I see. Yeah, Elliott was 3rd that year. He was good, but I hope this can solidify legacies of great drivers because I think we've really missed the mark on that as a sport over the last 10, 11 years. But overall, I do think that on paper, I think this is a really good day for NASCAR. I think this is the best format we could have gotten for legitimacy that isn't a full season. And again, maybe people will point out some stuff. There'll be some really good, and I get some people are against me on that, saying I'm wrong. I get that. But I don't think this is a small victory. This is a big move for a sport that has basically become a just dog and pony show for the most part. Doesn't fix everything. I think there's a long way to go still. But this does, I think, fix a lot. And I think it is a big step, a few steps in the right direction. Like if you're on two sides of a room and this wall right here is being burned alive, and this wall right here is the door to the right spot, we're like kind of right here. Like we're getting there. Now, if the playoffs were right here, and then we were definitely burning with the 2014 to 16. That was the absolute worst we could have had. Yeah, so they are bringing back the chase. Yep, they're bringing back the chase, just not the way it was before, which we kind of all knew. But I mean, for the most part, I'm looking. We've had a lot of votes. we've had over 1,600 votes, and 87% of you in the last 50 minutes do like the new format. Now again, the luster is probably going to wear off in, maybe even by the end of the year. All right. And then we're going to have to really see what areas the format has strengths and weaknesses in practice. Again, I can say all this stuff of what I think on paper it looks like. It's not going to matter until we see it in practice. But right now, yes, and stage racing is sticking around. That is another big part of it. Stage racing sticking around. They really didn't mention anything on stage racing changing or anything outside of what we talked about. 16 drivers, 10 race chase, no eliminations, no resets after the first one, no win and in, strictly off points. 55 points for a win, up from 40. 16, of course, like I said, make it in Cup, 12 in O'Reilly, 10 in trucks, and the seeds will be awarded as such, with the championship leader going in with 2,100 points, then minus 25 to second. That's a big jump, even more of a jump than first to second in a race. Third then goes 10 more back to 35 back, then 40 back for fourth, 5 down until 16th is 100 points back. Most points, unless they change more, that you can make up in a race if you maximize the fastest lap and both stages and win the race. You can get 76 points to last place is 1. So you can make up 75. So already going into this, 11th on back are a full race out of the championship. So you're going to have to actually be up in the points to be a true contender for the most part. Like I said, there's some pitfalls with this, I think, and we're going to probably see them play out. There are some pretty big positives this as well. I don't like, man, when I heard that they were going to probably have a 16 driver playoff still, I got to admit, I was ready to rip into it more. And again, I want to go to 36, and I'm kind of repeating myself on that, but I can't reiterate more from the possibilities I have heard multiple people tell me. And maybe they weren't real, maybe they were, but I trust these people who have told me we could have had a lot worse today. We could have had a whole lot worse. And I think we need to count ourselves lucky that we did not stray too far down that path with this whole thing. While you're all are in here, I just want to remind you also, and we'll go into some of the super chats as well, that season 9 of NWP is premiering on this channel on January 28th, 16 days from now, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be the next stream on this channel. So if you like the live streams we do, that's it. That is it. You're going to have to view that one. We'll have Danny and Eric come on. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk more about that and about this, because I have a feeling that both of them are going to bring up points on both positive and negative side, I think, that are going to be really interesting that I don't think of from my line of thinking. So it's going to be interesting. Man, we got a lot. Let's see. Okay, there's a few of these that have been covered already, but we'll go with it. Steven saying, please no winning in. Got your wish. Larson becomes the next Jimmy Johnson with the chase. Maybe. Today will be, yep. So we've gotten through a few of these. It's today. The tank is clean. Sorry, it's reminding me of that. Ryan Idius says, in hindsight, it's obvious they'd go for something that neither full season nor playoff supporters would be happy with. I'm not perfectly happy with it. Like I said, I give it about a B, maybe B minus. But the old system I gave like a D minus. The 3 years before this, the one we had, I gave an F. Like, that was the worst system I think NASCAR has ever had in the modern era. And then like a lot of the chases, I'd give probably like a C or a B minus. I think this is right around where some of those 10 race chases were. No winning in, no winner take all finale. I'll take it. And I think that's our low expectations were a benefit to NASCAR today. That's for sure. Wish it was 12 drivers other than 16, but I'll take it. I'm kind of with you on that one. I wish it was 10 actually. Um, but I think a big point, like Mark Martin said, is we're not going to probably be putting as much of an emphasis on that cut line, or at least I hope we're not. I hope the networks aren't just looking strictly at that cut line the whole damn time. Hank Hill does not like the format. Matt Kenseth broke the Winston. Jimmy broke the chase. Logano broke the playoffs. Who breaks this new chase system? The first name that goes into my brain is Christopher Bell. I think Christopher Bell could be the one that breaks this system. Riley Herbst. I don't think Riley. Man, I don't know what I would do. I'd eat crow if Riley Herbst made the playoffs or made the chase this year. Um, you know, let's see. I don't know how you can have it a B when it's not full season. At max, any format allows people to manipulate the system and allows a driver that wasn't the best all year to win as a C. I say it as a B because I think that NASCAR's bad systems before have weighted down and given a curve to it. But make no mistake, we see it in Formula One. You can manipulate a full season format too. I think that's something you got to look at too. Like you can manipulate it with team orders and other things like that. Beside cutting it down to at most 12 drivers, good. Mark Martin is banned from the North Pole. Okay. 10 race chase, 16 drivers, 55 points the winner. Not bad. I'm a little disappointed, but I'll live with it. Just wish we had 10 or 12 drivers max. I'm with you on that. I really do think that it's not gonna be as difficult for good people to make it. I think that is a big negative. I think this works. I'm genuinely excited for NASCAR to feel at least a little like its old self from when I grew up. Reminder that Spingate was caused by wild cards, so I am not surprised to see those excluded. Yeah, I you can tell that they made an effort to try and controversy proof this thing, which I can say that I appreciate that there does seem, even even if it's not exactly what I wanted, it's not my preferred format. I respect that it feels like they actually listen to a lot of the complaints. Um, and let's be honest, and full transparency, like I do think it had a shot, and from what I heard, it did have a shot. I'm very pro 36, but we knew it was a long shot going in. Like it was not on the table until Mark Martin brought it up, and it still was not the leading one at any point. Um, Dan Miller says, hopefully Denny sets the pace for the new format, wins one for his dad, and rides off in the sunset. That would probably be the best PR way that NASCAR could have this happen. Either that or Chase wins the chase. I'd want only 8 to 10 people, not 16. That's the only change I'd make. Top fives and top tens matter again. They do. They do. And I think that when you award so many points to the winners, what this does too, is it puts it more in line with, like, at least from what I remember, again, I don't have them memorized by heart because I'm not a fan of these series as much as NASCAR. But it puts it more in line with like Formula One and IndyCar, where like wins matter, but you got to be good too outside of just winning. Um, and I think that putting it in line with basically your two prime competitors is, I think, a good move. Snapback to Reality says, write this down for a video idea reviewing 2014 to 2025 with a new format. I mean, I'll probably go through and review a bunch of them. That might be my weekend, as I'll just go through all of them and see how it would have played out differently. Consistency matters again. No more winning in BS. It's a W. So here's 55 points. NASCAR. Yeah. NASCAR, I guess a lot of people think it's a win. They should make the first 3 races as wild card races and 7 races for the 10 or 12 drivers if they're keeping it 16. I don't think we need to muddy it up more. I'm fine riding this one out for a bit, honestly. This new format stinks. Go back to the playoffs. I think you're wrong. I stand with 23-11. I hope NASCAR never goes that direction again with chasing purely entertainment. yeah, I think that's I hope we never take steps back that way again. I know you might be memeing it, but I'm just saying I hope that we never go that way again. I think that would be one of the biggest mistakes NASCAR could ever make. Steven says this may be too early to think about, but does this format not mess with Daytona in August or just the schedule in general? Um, well, Daytona in August would be the cutoff, which most points you can make up would be at a super speedway. So it's still going to probably have that feel to it. I think NASCAR is trying to balance on a tightrope, and we're going to see in practice if they're able to do it. On paper, it seems like they can. I want to see it in practice, though. Thanks for the 5, Cody. Could race manipulation be a big factor? I think so, points wise. I mean, I think points wise with guys giving up positions that could happen. You kind of Pandora's box was opened up with Spingate, and we've seen it come to full force with the playoffs. So manipulation could be a part of it. It's going to be more difficult to have manipulation be part of it, but it could happen. If they shrunk the field down from 16 to 12, 12 to 10, 10 to 8 in each respective series, that would have been the best balance. Alas, the regular season winners having the big buffer is much better. I agree. I think that is much better. I think they just want to keep it as is. I think unless you completely abolish any chase or playoff, you're going to probably have it set at 16, 12, and 10 for each respective series, just because of the money involved. And you'd have to restructure things. If you're going to restructure it, you might as well go back to the full season, which again, I kind of am like, if we're going to make this much of an effort to reward the best driver and then still leave a little door open, but reward the best driver, why aren't we just going to 36? So really at the end of the day, we have a full season points, but the first 26 races are, let's see, at the end of the day, we have a full season points, but first 26 races are most important. Then the top 16 in points for the 10 races get the championship. Yeah, pretty much. With this announcement, NASCAR has me still as a fan. Perhaps when the TV deal is set to renew, we'll go full circle and return to full season points. The closer we are to that returning, the better. I agree. Fans will feel better about one-off winners. Anyone in 28th won't take away a spot from someone more deserving, making the win all that much more special. Yeah, I said that earlier too, and it's a great point, and it's something that's a good fold to add back to NASCAR. Because NASCAR, more than any other motorsport that's like on the major level, in my opinion, is most open to having those amazing, crazy winners jump in. So I think that's a big positive. It's a really big positive. Watch KFB miss the chase again in this format. No one RCR, he really could. They better give him the Austin Dillon setup at Richmond, at least this year. Maybe 16 drivers is a nod to Biffle. If so, then I'm okay with it. RIP the Biff. I don't think it is. They had it when he was racing, but RIP the Biff. Let's see. One advantage of this system over the Latford system is that DNFs hurt, but are not season killers, which I think is how it should be. Yeah, I think there could be other ways in a full season to do that, but they're not gonna completely destroy your season, but it's gonna be a bigger deal than it is now. One of the things that pisses me off about the playoffs and that I like about this is that, like, I think Dale Jr. and TJ Majors were talking about it, about like, oh, so and so wrecked, and he said, well, who cares? We're in the playoffs. DNF should matter, and it should be a gut punch when your driver crashes at some point. And let's be honest, if you were a fan of a top driver and your driver crashed out during a race, it didn't hit you that hard. I mean, I remember 2014, 2015, it really didn't hit me that hard when Dale Jr. would crash out in the first 26. It was just like, oh man, we lost another shot at a win. But that's about it. Now it will matter. If you have, especially if the field is really close in the top 10, which it very well could be. If you're like 5th in points and then you have 3 or 4 races in a row where there's like all but maybe one of them you have a DNF, all of a sudden you're falling down that line, and it's going to really affect you at the end of the season. So it is going to matter, and it's going to hold more weight. So I like that part of it as well. let's see. I feel like they did 16 just because we have 16 for over a decade, and so SVG can make it. Um, that's probably part of it. SVG's season last year probably came into mind, but it's probably more because the payouts and having to change stuff, and it's just the current deal is structured around how they negotiated it at the time, and it it, it definitely was going to be hard to do. So I agree, though, on the competition basis, I don't like 16. I think it's way too many still. Stages suck. Only one extra point, first versus second, no bonus. I'm not hard to disagree on that one. Uh, love win and you're in is gone. I like that Darth Vader approves. O'Reilly is 12, driver's truck is 10. Just posted on Twitter with a smaller points gap from first to last. Did NASCAR post it? Yeah. Did NASCAR post it at this point? I'm already getting people tagging me and stuff. This is because I just want to make sure that I have everything possible on that front. I have a lot of people I have a lot of people texting me right now. So my phone has been blowing up this whole damn time. Let's see. They made an entire post on no more winning in. Wow. They're on the Truck and O'Reilly accounts. Okay. Well, I'll look at the truck one really quick because it's right there for me. Okay. So all right. For the Craftsman Truck Series, it's pretty much the same payout. Um, yeah, I mean it's the same thing except just less people in it. 7 race format for the trucks, and then for the O'Reilly series, by the way, apologies. I'm still getting used to saying that, man. Is let's see. Where's it at? Where's it at? It's not coming up for me. Twitter's messing up on my end, but I'm assuming it's more of the same. Um, I wonder if they've changed the schedule yet to show Chase race. They haven't changed the schedule yet in that round, but J-Ski had it and it looks like it's going to line up. I believe the truck and O'Reilly playoffs are starting or Chase. I've been going back and forth between Chase and playoffs so much, man. But I think their chases start at the same time. So there is that too. But you know, I like that I guess I like there's uniformity. Yes, Chase, Chase, Chase. Chase, Chase, Chase. I like that there's uniformity for sure. I still don't think Trucks needs a chase or a playoff though. I at least get with O'Reilly because it's a major series, has an entire network surrounding it, supporting it, and there's enough people for it that there can be at least a battle. But Trucks, Trucks never needed a chase. Let's see. Did I just show? Yeah, I showed West Virginia. So Chase is back. Bowman, it's your time to shine. If Bowman misses this, he better be going. Um, let's see. Back to the chase, but that's what started my disinterest in the sport in 2004, but it's better. Yeah, it's better. Like Mark Martin said, it's easier to go from 10 to 36 than what we had before. I've heard apparently NBC is restricting NASCAR from adding full season points format, so they had no choice. Again, no one's officially really said that, but if you read between the lines and you use context clues, like, yeah, like we kind of all assume that they signed on knowing that's going to be there. So, uh, I don't think it'll ever leave from 16 because sponsorships aren't like how they used to be at the time when the chase we had at Home Depot, Lowe's, M&M's, and those would be around year round. Yeah, again, the new charter deal with the evergreen charters and different payouts that are to come, that should probably make it maybe a little more interesting with that, but I think this is our system through at least 2031. I'll put it like that. 16 drivers is perfectly fine. It will naturally filter to 4 to 6 main contenders, and it gets all the big names in there to start. But that's the thing is, I want those who are good, not because they're a big name. Like Kyle Busch should not be in any chase at this point, unless he dramatically gets better. I don't think he should be in it. If it should be 10 at minimum or maximum, I should say, maximum 10. And yes, that is something Bob did say they should revisit the penalty system before or with the new point system. Yeah, because taking 100 points from somebody is yikes under this system. Like that would be a killer. Let's see. NASCAR 26 chase for the cup. The only thing I don't like is 16 drivers. Other than that, I love it. We absolutely need Victory Lane to come back. I like that too. Was Trackhouse part of the 15% that we're talking about? Wouldn't like the format? Probably. It is gonna make it harder. SVG is gonna have to perform at more than road courses. And I get people are like, well, he had 5 wins. He deserves to be in from that. Well, that 5 wins, 6 wins doesn't take away from the 30 to 31 races that you weren't that good. It's good, and it should be awarded more like we're seeing. Let's see. I love it. Also, no more playoff waivers. Yes. We won't need playoff waivers. Like miss a race at your own cause with that. I thank God we don't have to talk about that crap anymore. This thing, I'm probably sounding like I'm completely glazing this system and I love everything about it. And that's just not true. Again, like I said, B minus, is around where I'm at with it. But that is how bad to me the playoffs were. That's how bad the system we had from 2014 on was to me, is that like this stuff is monumentally better to me than what we had before. And it opens a door for Kyle Larson, like you're saying in the chat here. This is going to open the door for Kyle Larson to run the Indy 500 or Connor Zilic to run the Indy 500. If he's up to snuff and good enough to be in, these good drivers can do different things like that and not, they will at their own risk the NASCAR side of it. But if you're good enough, it won't kill your season still. You can still go out and do stuff for the sport like that. So that's another positive. We don't have to deal with these stupid waivers and stupid conversations about it. I get it. It's going to make it a lot harder for a lot of people in the media who are going to have their paint by numbers every article that they would have written or every story they wanted to talk about. But it's going to add in more of the racing aspect again. And that's a big positive. It's a big positive on this whole thing. I feel like I'm about 80% positive on this and then 20% negative still. And even the negative, I'm just more like some of this stuff we could have just went to 36 with, but I get it. Like from what, again, like I said, we could have had a lot worse. I cannot reiterate that enough. We could have had so much worse than this when it comes to crowning a legitimate champion. And at the end of the day, that is something that we have needed as fans. Like I might actually care about the championship again now. So that's a big step for me in particular. Gonna be wild to see someone sweep the Coke 600, get the fastest lap, and they score 86 points in one race. The Coke 600 is gonna mean a lot now. That is for sure. I've wanted this for years. I don't like 16 drivers, but the way they scale it is amazing. Stages is our next crusade. I like mid-race points payout. The stage yellows. I think people need stage yellows. I give it a B and make a 2-year evaluation on it. I want to see a driver clinch more than 5 races. Hello, Mr. T-Mobile Cup Series. Theory, NASCAR wanted full season points, but NBC wanted a postseason and 16 drivers eligible, which is why there's such a big point spread. That's my theory. Is like the next, if they're going to make any changes at this point, you got to go to 36 at that point. Like this basically accomplishes almost every one of those stated objectives outside of no playoff or reset whatsoever, which again, I don't like. I still don't like that we have to have a reset, but I can stomach it. I can really stomach this to reward the best still. I'm just worried of phantom debris coming back if we don't have the stages. Yeah, I'm willing to take that chance to get back to just more straight up racing. Um, and I still think with the next gen, we're still going to see more cautions than we otherwise would have with like the Gen 6. Wanted full 36, but I'm with this. I'm fine with this. I think a lot of people are with you on that one. Member for 3 months. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. The member chat. Stage points during the chase will become hugely important. Yes, they will. They definitely will. I'm just glad we can focus on the leader too. We're not having to focus on, you know, oh, Joe Blow in 12th, who's run 17th all year, might get eliminated from the playoffs. And that too, I'm so glad I don't have to hear Steve Letarte and Jeff Burton say the word playoff possibly ever again. Like maybe they'll tell them to say chase every 20 minutes or 20 seconds and it'll annoy me, but I'm just glad I don't have to hear that anymore. I can't highlight this enough. Upset wins are fun again. That's a great part of this. Let's see. 16 driver being 100 back wins it all. I will respect that. Well, and with that too, you could probably make a case too that through the full season they made a shit ton of points up. They might not. They're not 16th through the whole season would never make up that many to win it. I don't think unless it's like ultra close together. And parity is just amazingly through the roof. But you would still have a very respectable season out of that too. My guy, Tony Stewart, has his historic 2011 charge in the chase to give us one of, if not the best battles in the 21st century for the championship. So I'm all for the chase and for the NASCAR Cup returning. Yeah, they'll just call it Chase for the Cup, which will probably roll a lot better than like Chase for the Nextel Cup and Chase for the Sprint Cup and all of that. Foolish to believe Logano won't be a contender. I agree with that. Joey Logano is a driver who adapts very well, in my opinion. And a lot of people thinking that Joey Logano is never going to be one of those prime, amazing guys up racing up, again. He'll never, ever have that again. You're fooling yourself. Penske's going to get better. Ford's going to get better. And Joey Logano will get better. He's too good a driver to be held down that long. You could tell Penske aimed their team towards the system and they played the system perfectly. Do I think that Joey Logano is going to win this year? It's an even year. No, I don't. He is not my championship pick. I don't think he is, even that, high up. I don't think, Walter White Logano is going to win this year, which by the way, he looks great. With the shaved off head and the beard. Like Joe, that's Joey's new alter ego. He should seriously walk out at the Bristol night race with the Heisenberg theme playing. I think that would be just a great way to read the room. I've never really, since becoming a YouTuber, I've never actually really hated Logano that much. I just hate how he plays the system. But I like him as a person. I've liked him as a person since, I met him when I was like 12. I think he was like 18. He's always been really cool to me as a fan when I was a kid. And when I cover in media, he's always been really nice. I've never had a problem with him. It's just like kind of what he represents of taking advantage of that, of the old system. But I like him as a driver and I think he has a ton of personality and I think he loves being the villain. And I would really like to see him run well again to be that villain. Baseball added the pitch count. College football mostly removed clock stops for first downs outside of the final 2 minutes. Shorter events are better overall. Yeah, because you keep going. You have the flow. You have the urgency going. Stage yellows need to go. I hope that's what's next. Now, that's not to say that it might not happen still this year with stage yellows because the stage yellows don't have any, like they have an impact obviously on the racing, but not throwing caution and making that a rule is not a rule that pertains to the championship. And there's still more rules to come. They always make their championship announcements separate from other rule announcements. So maybe it could still happen. Maybe it could still happen. I hope it happens. Hope to share my thoughts on the morning drive NASCAR tomorrow. I hope you get on there, man. Good luck. With stages and an increase in winners' points, the comebacks from bad races are easier to come back from under this new chase format. On paper, yeah, but at the same time, it might be more difficult if somebody is really good that's leading too, which should be fine. That should be fine. Wish it was full season, but I'll give it a chance. That's the thing. Yeah, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it a chance. I implore people in the chat to give it a chance. If it doesn't work or you don't like it, so be it. You at least gave it a chance. You at least had a little bit of an open mind to it. Like I said, I know I'm going to have people on Twitter that come at me and they're like, "You're weak." That was the big thing. I got people like, "You're weak because you would dare give something a chance that isn't your preference." It's like, yeah. It's called being a functioning adult. You can't always get what you want. Sorry, bad delivery of that joke. A good middle ground. It helps that upset wins are upset wins that don't change the points. I just hope USA and NBC don't focus on the chase drivers. Well, they're going to, but I think you can have a little bit, you can cover other stuff with it. What they need to do is go back, look at how they covered the original chase. You talked about the chasers, you had them highlighted in yellow, and you had all that stuff. You showed the points on the screen, but you covered the race. And NBC has not covered a chase race correctly, in my opinion, since 2006, where they actually cover it like it's a race. I wonder how drivers like SVG will respond. There might be desperation from those drivers. If they have a chance to win, they might make desperate moves. But I think overall you're going to see smarter racing, which is a plus because I think it's going to really show how good these guys really are. I think these guys are better drivers than a lot of people give them credit for. They've had to race like idiots because that's been the meta with the old system. Oh, it's so good to say the playoffs were the old system. Now, granted, again, I could hate this in a year or two after we see it in play, but no, I am actually quite pleasantly surprised we got as much as we got so far. Let's see. Twin Spinner says someone did the math and SVG would have beat out Ty Gibbs by 2 points to make the chase if they had this format last year. So yeah, like I said, I think he's going to probably be somebody who ends up being like 14th in the points, makes it in. Thing is, he has to be perfect at the road courses to do this, in my opinion. If it, and unless he has a big jump in the ovals. Let's see. Thank goodness they didn't do 3-3-4. 10 race chase is a solid format. Again, I think the way they did this is solid. Is Bianchi's 3-3-4 the Condoleezza Rice for NASCAR? I don't know. I know who that is. If anyone's wondering, I don't know. I know who that is. I don't know. When I think of her, I think of that Robot Chicken spoof with George Bush when he was a Jedi. Get me a taco. Right away, sir. Tacos rule. Let's see. If Joey wins a championship in this format, it would be awesome to shut up the haters. This is the best we could get without 36. I agree on all fronts. How will I remember 2014 to 2025 as a Harvick fan? Just makes me cringe how many times he got screwed by this system. Absolutely devastated. Stage has made it. They waste laps. I think that's going to be the next thing that fans talk about, and that's going to be the next point if they don't change it at the rest of the offseason. Pro playoffs and seeing this would rather 36 compromise so much. It is realistically only 7 people who have a shot. So stupid. I think it's correct, man. Lowest point am I watching now in 20 plus years. I hope you give it a chance. What cost cuts does NASCAR make with the settlement? I just can't imagine anyone losing that much money and not cutting a ton of costs. Hope all of the Denny supporters like higher prices and less track upgrades. I think that might be part of it. Maybe not as much money with the tracks. I think the other point of it too is when it comes to cost cutting or getting more money is maybe selling off the rest of Auto Club Speedway. Other properties they might be able to sell off land from to make up that money. Land is a profitable business to be in if you have it. Unfortunately, I was like in utero last time it was affordable. So I was doing that whole thing, like, getting ready to be on the earth, when I should have been investing in real estate. But NASCAR has plenty that they can sell off. The sport more than likely is never going to hit that peak that it was from like 95 to 2015-ish, where it had 100,000 people regularly at most events and stuff. So they're not probably going to need as much land anymore. Maybe they don't have as many street races that they pay a shit ton of money to put on, because NASCAR paid a lot of that money too. I see this here. Full season points. The chase is what started NASCAR down the path of illegitimacy in the first place. But this is walking back that path. This is walking away from going so far down the playoff rabbit hole that the champion is almost meaningless to a large section of the fan base now. It's a great first step. 16 drivers screws 17th. We need 36 driver chase, only if it's 36 races. No more Logano, even year luck. If he does it this year, it's going to be pretty damn well earned. That's for sure. I don't know how to feel about it right now. We've got to see it. We got to see if it works. It seems like it works on paper, but in practice, I'm hoping it will work. Glad to be talking points on the final race. Yeah. And I want to say this for those of you in there, and no, there will not be an NWP tonight. January 28th, Wednesday night, this channel. 16 days from now, it's the next stream. But for those who came in since 2014, especially 2017, with the system we've had, we might go into the last race of the year with the champion only needing to finish like 19th. That's something that is very realistic that could happen. So it's going to be different. Give it a shot, though. Give it a shot. It's going to be different, but it could be worth it for you. Stage points should be only for the top 5. I could see somebody winning both stages, 20 points this year, and then in the third stage, not really going for it. I'm kind of with you on that. I think the top 5 should get it, and then just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I've accepted where stage points are at this point, and there's so many points for the win that if you win both stages, you're going for the win more than likely, unless it's like one of those strategy races at a road course. And even then, SVG might still win those. Having stage points and increased championship points will allow drivers to recover from DNFs faster. You need to do videos with the new format and include stage points. I'll give it a shot. It's going to take a while, though. This is so much better than the playoffs. I can be invested in the championship again. Still think they only need 12 instead of 16. I agree on that one. Somebody check out Mamba. He probably says it's the greatest thing ever. There's a lot of people who are going to have to walk back a lot of what they said soon, or have, some guts to actually say what they think. Big W for me on the 15 extra points for a race win. Yeah, I think that is a huge W. And I think that can be attributed to just about any system, and it would be a plus. That's how you reward winning more. You don't overvalue it. You reward it through a full season's body of work. Just got to take a few more steps. It ends the double. No waivers for injuries. Yeah, but that's part of any sport, especially motorsports. It's dangerous. You can get hurt. That's part of what you sign up for. And you shouldn't miss a third of the season and win a championship. And unless you're really that good the rest of the season, which is almost mathematically impossible. Cliff Daniels better dust off the Chad Knaus notebook this year. #Larson26. Kyle Larson's going to interest me because he is so checkers or wreckers that he could take himself out of the championship fight. Will you make a who would win every format in 25? Probably not, just because there's so much other stuff we got to focus on. But maybe in 26 I can do that. Are they still awarding points after the stages? Yes. Yes, from the sound of it, they are. I wonder if they're going to design a new trophy. I hope not. I actually like the trophy they have now. I've grown to like it. Busher finally won't get screwed. Watch, he goes 17th in points. At that point, like you had 26 races to be in the top 16. The only thing I fear is that the networks will talk about the cutoff at race 18 and whatnot. I'd give it a B minus in total. Points matter again. Yeah. TNT and NBC especially cover the guys that are good. That's what's going to matter with the championship. I don't care if Joe Schmo is 16th. Like, we'll talk about it on the podcast, but I have a feeling it's not going to be as big a point of emphasis. We'll talk about it a bit. We'll see from there. Maybe it will be a point of emphasis. We'll see. The three of us probably have to talk on how to actually cover this stuff more, because it's a paradigm shift. That's for sure. The new format makes me cry. Worst format ever. Did you see the last one? Sorry, Jesus. Looking forward to seeing the exact legitimate points total after each race. The last 10, it'll definitely be easier because I think they'll race more similarly to where they would in a full season. So I think you can actually take a little more legitimacy out of that now compared to like 2014 to 2025, which is only 2015, to 2025, where they race so differently. So many of them race so stupidly that there's no way you could compare to how they race. They would have raced completely different. Whereas now they might race different, but I don't think it's going to be as different. They're going to go for points in a lot of ways. Does this new format apply to lower series? Yes, it does. Wonder how history will treat the playoff champions. I mean, they'll be written as champions. The media and the industry will treat them as champions. But for fans, I think there's always going to be an asterisk next to almost all of them, outside of like Truex and in 2017 and Larson in 21. There's going to be probably an asterisk next to almost all of them, even if they were the ones that scored the most points during the year. Justin says, I've been watching NASCAR since 2010 when I was 6, but I stopped watching in 23. But last year I watched the entire season. And this year I can't wait the chase battle builds to watch the chase battle build like I did as a kid. I think it's a lot of nostalgia for the younger fan base. Like people, like I was 7 when I started watching in 05. So I was 6 years old when Chase was instituted. I am 28 going on 29. So for a lot of these guys and gals in their maybe like mid 30s to mid 20s, like this will be nostalgic for a lot of people. And it's, what's funny? And I will read these last 2 super chats here. What's funny is I brought up a 16 driver chase last year. Now granted, I thought this is back when they still wanted winning in. This is back when 36 races wasn't even an option. But I was like, do top 10 in points and then 6 best winners and 16, and then just like space them out, maybe use playoff points, whatever. I did not realize my initial pitch for what they could do after the 2024 championship was actually much closer than what I actually guessed it was going to be. I'm almost more excited it's not a 3-3-4 or a 5-5 or the same at this point. Again, it's gonna wear off a little bit, but Steven here saying no stage points, bonus point for average running position. That muddies the water still a little bit. This for everything that people have against this system, it definitely is much more simplified. Only change I wanted but didn't get, removing stage yellows. You can keep the stages and give points, just no automatic caution. Again, rule changes and championship changes do have different announcements and stuff like that. So we could still see it, probably unlikely, but we could still see it for sure. But all in all, and there's another one. Yes, Chris Buescher will be in the postseason now with slow and steady consistency instead of the number 17 team finding race winning speed this year. They could still find it though. I mean, if you're wanting to actually compete for the championship, you've got to be in that probably top 8 minimum. But yeah, ruin the stage stuff, ruin strategy, that's for sure. How'd this stream go for over 2 hours? Because there's a lot to talk about. I wanted to get in early and then talk more about it from there. So, it's a big deal. This is one of the biggest deals and changes the sport has had in a long time, and we need to treat it as such. Um, again, we'll see how it plays out. I want to see, it's updating on my end, the final vote for how you guys think of this system. But it says 88% of you like the system, 12% of you dislike it. I'm going to take a picture. 2,217 votes. So pretty positive, that's for sure. But I think that'll do it. I think that'll do it. We will be live on the 28th for NWP Season 9 premiere, my channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk more detail about this. There's more rule changes that might be announced by then. Sounds like there probably will be announced by then. So we'll talk all about that. Me, Eric, Danny, gonna be a ton of fun. I will see you guys. And last one here. I like the format, not like the F1 champion decided with 6 to go, but let's go, Larson, get that three-peat. Okay. Give it a shot. That's all I say, man. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I will see you all later. Have a great day. Great rest of what's not much of an off season to go. Later, guys.